Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to Tekpon. Today our guest is Stefan, the CEO at Pointerpro. Hello.
Hello, Christian.
Nice to meet you. Please tell us what your company does.
Well, at Pointerpro, we in fact are a software platform for professional service company. And what we actually do is we help professional service companies to automate their advice delivery. Yeah. So that's pretty broad, I know. But like advice delivery is at the core of the business of those companies. And we do it by converting their expertise into assessments with personalized advice reports. Yeah. So our software has two parts.
Mm-hmm.
The assessment engine, and you have to see it as a questionnaire where you can enter questions and multiple choice answers and other different types of answers. And then respondents can take those questionnaires or those assessments. So that's the first part.
Mm-hmm.
But then the second part, which makes it quite differentiating, is that the responses of those people that take part in the assessment, they are used to do certain calculations, to perform logic on them, and to convert them into personalized advice. Yeah. And that advice is then like formatted in a nicely looking report that can be set up according to your branding and your colors and with your logo and so on. A very simple example, if you have a cybersecurity maturity assessment, you could ask a question in the questionnaire, do you have already antivirus on
Mm-hmm.
all your PCs? And if the answer is no, then you could give the advice, start by installing antivirus on your PCs. I mean, it's a simple example, but this kind of logic, like if something in the assessment is answered in this or that way, then you give specific advice. And that is what is set up in the layer in between in the scoring and logic engine. Of course, it's a simple example, but you can automate quite complex assessments in that way, and you can do it without technical knowledge, and that's also an advantage of our product.
What do you say are the most loved features of your product?
Yeah, certainly the report itself, which is well, when you look at it, it's the best compliment that we receive is that people think that this report is written by a consultant. Sometimes if the report is sent out by email, they want a delay in sending it out so that people perceive as, if it would have been written by someone. Otherwise, it's not possible if you send it out immediately. So the report is certainly the most loved outcome of our tool. But like under the hood, of course, there's a lot of things that make it in a way that the report is very personalized and with branding and so the scoring and logic engine, and also for the branding and the design aspects of the report, we have the WYSIWYG editor. We have like an editor where you can create the report without really design skills or programming skills. So that's also an important feature.
And what is the pricing for Pointerpro?
The pricing, if we talk about, we still have some smaller plans without the reporter functionality. But if it's with the report functionality, it ranges from, depending on the usage, how many reports that you generate and how many user accounts that you want, from about 3,500 euro or dollars per year to we have customers that pay several 10,000 euros or dollars per year, but they consume higher volumes, or there's other features that make it a bit more expensive.
I'd love to know how competitive is your market that you operate in.
Yeah, we started basically as a survey tool,
Mm-hmm.
but back in 2019 we switched into assessments. And the survey market is very competitive, and there's a lot of survey tools, as you know, and also quite saturated. So it's difficult to stand out. But like with the assessments and with the combination of the questionnaire and the automatic report, it's much more differentiating. Yeah? It's a much more unique solution. You don't have other vendors that have both the questionnaires and the report builder and also the logic scoring and logic engine um, in between in one application. Um, so um, so since we are have launched that, we see higher conversions. We see customers that stick longer. We see also larger deals. So that is also the advice that I could give to other SaaS startups. Don't go for like the biggest market, but try to find a niche which is like big enough to earn money for yourself, of course, but small enough to ensure that not all the big guys are looking at it.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing the advice. When did you start the company and why did you choose to solve this problem?
So I started the company like yeah 11 years ago, but then back then it was like focus on the surveys.
Mm-hmm.
And in the beginning, as I said, it was like yeah, quite difficult to stand out. What we did is like we focused on the respondent experience and giving the respondent like a superior experience, and that worked out for like partially. But then afterwards, the other tools also became more user friendly. So then basically in 2019 we made then the addition of the report engine that we have added to the functionality. And then yeah, why we did it, basically this was mostly by looking at what our customers were asking for, in combination also with a little bit our own vision or like how we saw the future. Because I've been a consultant in the past myself,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, like automating the advice delivery within a consulting company was like a compelling problem for me to solve.
Understand. And do you have other co-founders?
Yeah, we have I have one co-founder, Mark, who is he's doing basically commercial, so sales and customer service, and also professional services, because we have also a small professional service department. And I'm doing marketing, product, and the generic, yeah, all the rest basically. I mean the supporting functions
And
like
have you raised
HR
any
and
funding?
finance. Sorry,
Yeah.
no funding. We have no funding. We are bootstrapped. We have like non-dilutive funding or like a loan
Yeah.
from a bank here in Belgium and another institution here for about $1 million that we raised last year, but no equity funding. No.
Would you recommend that to other founders?
Yeah, as long as you can grow decently without funding, I would certainly recommend it. Now there's no it's not that black and white. If you have like a more, I think SaaS is in general not that capital intensive. If like B2B SaaS, B2C maybe more. But if you're not too capital intensive, then it's just building the product, and that consumes most of the capital and then the marketing afterwards also. But if you can do that, yeah, along the way while real revenue from customers is already flowing in, and that's I think the ideal situation. But then afterwards, if you find a revenue engine where you can like put $1 in and get $3 out, so to say, then you can of course consider funding. You don't have to, because it's just a choice between like growing at 30-40% per year without funding, or growing at 80-100% per year with funding. It's just a choice to, but having a higher risk and also being diluted.
That's fantastic. What did you say was your biggest challenge since starting the company?
Yeah, the biggest challenge I think was like the first years when we were struggling to find our product market fit. We try to we knew that the survey market in general, that would mean not like lead us to long-term success, and that we had to find a niche, and we explored some possible paths to take. So we did something with events, like scanning QR codes at events and then getting a questionnaire and so stuff like that. Then we saw that that was not that was basically a dead end, that path. And then we tried some other things, but the main challenge is, I think, to if I look back from hindsight, I mean, you have to try those things, but what I would recommend or what I would do different is that you have to be able to conclude faster that something is not going to work and then try the new thing. Then it would be have led us faster to the real, like the product that we have now, to the product market fit.
Absolutely, absolutely. What is your vision for the future of the company?
Well, the vision behind the product and the company is that professional services should be able to grow their business without always growing their headcount. Yeah? So because I've been in professional services in consulting, and when we had to grow our business, we always had to recruit new people. Now, thanks to digitization, you can grow without recruiting new people. Or without recruiting proportionally, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
And digitization is like a major driver for that. And of course, we are only one piece of the puzzle there, or our tool is only one piece of the puzzle, but we think it's an important piece because we digitize the ask, assess, advise process on the 3 A's, and that's a core process for those companies. So that's the vision for the advice giver, which is the consultant, which is our client. For the receiver of the advice, which is mostly the customer of our customer, then we think that the democratization of professional advice is a higher vision, is the better world. That professional advice should be democratized.
Yep.
Because it's still quite expensive because it involves labor cost of highly skilled professionals. And if we think that digitization should lead to democratization in all cases, so that should be the end result for the ones that receive the advice. So, for example, we have a customer who is ex-private banker who has a financial assessment on freefinancialplan.com. You can try it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, before to get financial advice in the context of a private bank, you had to have a net assets of, I don't know, €1 million. Otherwise, you're not allowed to be customer there. And now with the digital advice, yeah, you don't have it's much more affordable. So you don't have to have this kind of huge assets. So in that way, he has democratized professional advice or financial advice with our tool. So that's great.
I appreciate the transparency. And now more on the personal side, I'd love to hear how you started your career.
Well, I started my career in consulting. It was back in late 90s, so I'm pretty old already. So I started at what was called then Price Waterhouse, and it became PricewaterhouseCoopers. And then I switched after 7 years. I switched to CSC, Computer Science Corporation, which is now renamed to DXC Technology. So and then, yeah, during that path, I learned a lot about enterprise software, like larger systems such as SAP. I did some large-scale implementations of this kind of software in companies like Nestle and Atlas Copco, so large corporates.
Yep.
And I've seen also the rise of cloud computing like at the end of my career and there in the consulting, and the possibilities of the cloud and the possibilities of SaaS software. And then at that moment, I decided to switch my career to found a SaaS company and to go all in for that.
And what would be your best piece of advice for a starting SaaS founder?
Yeah, best piece of advice is I think you have to use your network, and that's advice that you often get. Like use your network, but then also build up already your network before. If you think that you will start in a couple of years, you can also already start to build up your network. That's certainly a good thing, but that's quite generic advice, of course. But the specific advice that I would like to add is then that you also have to go outside your network as soon as possible. So the way we did it is, okay, the first version of the product, when it was live, of course, I checked with my network where there was interest. Then we had a couple of customers that originated from my network, like quite big names like BNP Paribas here in Belgium, big bank, and then also like a pharma company. But then as soon as possible, you have to use those references and use those cases to go outside your network. And then I remember the first moment of joy is, of course, when the first customer is onboarded. But the second moment of joy, let's say, or another significant moment of joy is also when someone that doesn't know you, from Australia, from the States, or far away, finds you via the internet and then becomes client after a couple of weeks. That is also very rewarding because they become client not because of you but because of your product. So that's means something.
Absolutely. What's your favorite SaaS product apart from Pointerpro?
Whoa, yeah, we love HubSpot. We love also Gong. That's maybe lesser known. It's the tool to record sales calls, and I use it a lot to really listen to the sales calls when I'm on the go, like in my car, and I mean by listening to customers. I don't have the time to really attend those calls because it's then during working hours. But if I can just on my mobile in the car when working out listen to it, then that gives me so much knowledge and insights, but also like it's also rewarding because you hear these customers talk about your product, and that's great about product and Go.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing the use case. How did you get your first customers?
Well, the first customers were basically out of the network. So we started the product, and then we sent an email to our network. We had some meetings, and then the first customers came. The first customers were the survey product was quite low price, and then not so difficult for to become a customer for like a large company or so. I mean, it was also a flexible contract. But then indeed, quite quickly afterwards, we or like in parallel, we invested in digital marketing, and then the customers also soon afterwards just came in like via the internet, like visiting our site, then either signing up in self-service mode or checked in with our sales team, and then afterwards became customer.
And what has been the most successful growth strategy for getting new customers? Was it digital marketing?
Yeah, digital marketing, more specifically, at the beginning it was organic search. We do a lot of content and link building and all these kind of things. And then afterwards, when we launched the assessment product with the reports functionality, it was also paid search. And paid search is especially Google Ads.
Is there anything else that you want to mention on today's podcast?
No, not really. If listeners are interested in myself, you can find me on LinkedIn. By like looking for my name, I'm quite active on LinkedIn, and I'm also happy to connect with the listeners to exchange thoughts and experience.
Thank you for joining the podcast. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Christian.